Hi everyone, back again for another video, and this one is for a review of On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Prior to this recent viewing, I hadn't seen this movie for probably a few years. I didn't think it was like that amazing. I thought it was fine, there were some cool bits here and there, different actor, I thought he did a decent job, but I wasn't that particularly blown away by it. But I have to say my mind has definitely changed from back then. I like this movie very much now. My dad was just like, hey, let's watch a James Bond movie. And I was like, which one? And then I remember people talking about this one and saying it was really good. And I just didn't get that. I was like, okay, you know what? Let's give this another shot. I want to give this another shot. And I don't think my dad ever saw this one. So it was something new for him. And I gotta say, this viewing, I felt like, wait, did I watch this movie? Like, I only knew just little bits here and there. Because when I did watch this movie, I bought the set, which is up top there. That white one there, that's the James Bond set up to Spectre. And then I bought the other one afterwards, No Time to Die, just separately. It's funny, it's one of those things when I watched it, I watched through a lot of them really quickly. I literally just watched from one to the newest one really fast. And they kind of all just meshed into each other. So I barely remember what happened in this movie when I watched it. I was like, yo, what the hell? I saw this? So yeah, I'm quite surprised that I didn't like it because I think this movie is really solid now. So let's get into it. So, the first thing, I want to get into the visuals. I think there are some really solid visuals in this film. So starting off, I want to talk about the cinematography and particularly the camera composition. I think there's some really good shots throughout the film in regards to even some of the action scenes. But also just in general, it's a very nice looking film. Like most James Bond films, there's like a slick look to them, and it looks good for the most part, you know. There's a certain scene in the film where I really love the shot, and it was like he was talking to one of the characters James Bond talks to in the film. It's kind of like arranging a marriage or whatever, and in the background there's one great shot where him and James Bond and this other guy's talking, and in the background, it's this beautiful painting. And they really held on that shot for a good while, and I absolutely loved it. It was such a gorgeous shot, and yeah, that made it for me. I was like, yo, what is this? How do I not remember this? I remember back years ago, I wasn't as appreciative of certain visuals and stuff like that, but I'm so glad I gave it another shot, because man, that was a gorgeous looking shot. But anyway, let me just move on from that, because I don't think I'll be able to find that particular scene. But anyway. But yeah, really solid camera composition. So moving on to the next thing, which is camera movements. Once again, this movie has a nice flow to it, the way the camera moves around in the scene. As most James Bond movies, they have great like panning shots and at moments tracking shots. But particularly with this one, there was something else that I noticed, and it was in the ski chase scene. They had these shots where it almost felt like the camera was on skis itself. And I really want to find some of these shots. But yeah, they were just amazing. Like, it was so cool. I was like, wait, what? How did they film those shots? I feel like perhaps they maybe had a jet ski or some other vehicle. But I really did feel like the camera was on skis, you know, with them. It felt such a great choice, you know what I mean? It was such a gorgeous looking shot and scene. So that was really impressive. Let me try and find this particular shot. Oh, this is low quality. Oh, 240p? Come on, man. Let's see if I can find a better one. Yes, alright, 1080p, that's a bit better. Now we're talking. Now, I know in this scene as well, there's a lot of dodgy shots where it's like a close-up of the actor, and then the background just looks like a projector screen. Yeah, it looks a little bit dodgy, I won't lie. But aside from that, it's a really impressive scene. I love particularly another aspect of that whole thing as well, I'll mention soon. But man, a really impressive scene nonetheless. But let me try and find some of these particular shots. And it's impressive that some of these bloody dudes are holding guns while they're skiing down too, doing these jumps. It's like, wait, what? Really impressive. Here, these shots. See how it's like the camera's moving, it's mounted. I love those shots. Like, there's like a certain where the camera's moving, it's great. Yeah, here, this particular shot, how the camera's like tracking with them. Such an awesome shot. Yeah, like these particular shots I found to be impressive. Like, how did they actually do that? Like this. You know? This shot, that shot. And you can feel the intensity of the scene as well. So yeah, great camera movements. Just in regards to, just generally, like how the scenes flow as well with the camera panning and tracking. Like most of the other ones have that great look as well. But this one has that particular mounted camera shots where they're in this scene that I absolutely loved, and I had to shed light on that. Okay, so number 3, the next thing I have to point out is the stunt work. I love the stunt work in the film, and particularly with that ski scene. It's impressive. Like, as I said, there is those dodgy shots with the close-ups. Okay. But aside from that, the actual stunt work is really impressive. And I don't think the actual actor did that stuff, but still, that doesn't matter. Whoever the hell did that, you know, really impressive. Especially the dudes with the guns shooting, or just even skiing along with a gun instead of the sticks. Like, my god. You know, that's impressive. Certain jumps they do, all that. And then even the bobsled. Is it bobsleds? I think that's what they call bobsleds, right? Yeah, bobsled. Even that whole bit is really impressive, how that was done. So, I love the stunt work in this film, and just the general, the way the action scenes were done, really good. Okay. Moving on to the next thing, number 6 is the transitions. This is something really subtle in the film, but I really like it. It's, I might have to at some point do a reaction video on this movie, which I think I will. But I'll be able to point it out better when I do that. But anyway, there's a certain pace to this film. The way the camera like goes from one scene to the next by just a sound or like a cut, and it's just a very quick transition, and I love it. Like, particularly in this movie, the hat throw, when he throws the hat on a hook. He was in one scene, and then it literally just cuts by the sound of the door opening, him going back to his headquarters, and then he throws the hat on. So it's so quick and snappy. And they do that a few times in the movie, just with scenes the way they're cut together. And I love it. It gives a great pace to the film and a flow. And it gives it a liveliness. And I think it feels very energetic. And I love that. So great transitions. Just very simple. Not anything over stylized, but just something that I really wanted to shed light on, and just thought it was a great way to make the movie flow. So yeah, great transitions, I thought. Number 6 is color palette. Now, there's a lot of great use of red throughout the film, and particularly how they use the light as well. I didn't give a complete point to the lighting, but in general, there was just great use of color in moments of the film that I really appreciated. Even a particular sunset shot with the helicopters flying at one point in the film, I love the use of color in that. And then also that painting background shot, I love the color with that as well. But yeah, just at times throughout the film, in regards to costuming, the location, or the rooms they were in, just the way the colour was, I thought it was solid. So yeah, great colour palette, I thought, in parts as well. So, once again, me talking about the colour palette, I thought this is something that would be better, you know, if I did a reaction video or a type of analysis video on this film, so I can really point this stuff out. So, yeah, I think at some point I will do this movie. So, yeah, stay tuned for that. I don't know when I'll do it, but yeah, because I would really love to point out some great moments of the transitions, the colour palette, and all those great visual things. So, but anyway, moving on to the next thing. Number 7 is the acting. I really like the acting in the film, particularly from the main actor that plays James Bond in this one. What's his name? He was good. Like, he wasn't, he didn't have as much of that suaveness. He was a bit more serious, but at times, though, there was moments of humour as well. But I think he did a pretty solid job, considering he only played James Bond once. Yeah, I find him still quite memorable. And George Lazenby. George Lazenby? Is that how you say his name? So yeah, I thought he did a pretty good job, considering he only played it once. But yeah, I think he was good. And I think there was actually some action scenes where he did actually do it. Like hand-to-hand combat ones. And I was like, yo, what? So I really liked some of them. They weren't like amazingly shot, but there was something about them. There was something about the fight scenes in this, the hand-to-hand combat, that I still did like. There was a certain kind of grittiness or intensity to them, and I still quite like them, actually. But anyway, that's moving on to another aspect that I'll talk about soon. Next thing, number 8, is the music. I love the soundtrack in this film. I find it so catchy, and I end up just humming the tune as the film's playing. But so good. I love it. So, yeah, solid music. That's all I'll say about that. But that's something else I'd point out in a reaction video as well. But anyway, moving on to the next thing. Number 9 is the story. I like the story in the film. I find it relatively easy to follow. I find some of the James Bond films, like, I can't completely catch on with everything. But I found this one to be quite good, and I followed it rather well. And yeah, I quite liked the story and where it went. And had some good twists and turns, particularly something with the ending. I did not expect that to happen. I mean, more so this is on my first viewing. I did remember this when I was watching it the second time, but still. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a relatively solid story. So yeah, point to that as well. Next thing, number 10, is the action scenes. Okay, I'm going to try and find an action scene while I'm doing this video as well. Like, not the ski chase, but the hand-to-hand action scenes, because I think they were really good. There was something about them. Alright, so I'm going to have a look here. Okay, beach fight. Here we go. Ha! But yeah, this particular fight here, kicks the gun. Like, there's something about it, like with the hits, I really feel the hits, the way the camera moves, even though it's kind of goofy with the uppercuts and all these like diving things and all that, but there's something about it. There's like an intensity to it, the way they kind of cut to close-ups and then go back to wide, cut to close-up. There's something about it, I can kind of feel the hits more. Yeah, anyway, it's just a small thing, but I quite like it. Anyway, moving on to the next thing. Yeah, so it's just the overall fight scenes in regards to just the action scenes as well, with the ski chase, but then also just the actual hand-to-hand fights. I think they're relatively good. They're not, as I said, amazingly shot, like great wide shots or anything, but there's a certain oomph that I feel to the fights. So yeah, I still quite like them actually. Alright, moving on to the next thing. Alright, so number 11 is the pacing. I kind of already said this before with the transitions, but yeah, I felt like this movie had a great flow to it. Like, I really just feel the, a kind of like, there was never a moment where I was like, man, this movie needs to pick it up, you know, pick up the pace. There was like always another great scene coming up, you know what I mean, another great action scene. And one other one I really love as well in this film is the car action scene with the racing track. That was so awesome. I loved that scene. So that's another action scene I loved. But yeah, there was always just like another exciting scene coming up, you know what I mean? So yeah, I think the pacing was really solid. And there was never really a dull moment, I thought. I thought it just... And I was intrigued by the story and where that was going. So yeah, I think really solid pacing. Number 12, last but not least, is the ending. This ending really hits you. Oh my god. I'm going to say a quick spoiler, so spoiler warning if you haven't seen it. But I wasn't expecting his wife to just get killed like that. Like, my god. One thing that does annoy me is in the next film, the way they kind of just shrug that off. Like, literally, Blofeld, I think, gets killed in, like, the first few minutes of the film. It's like, what the hell? All, like, that ending, and then you just do this. It's kind of annoying. But, yeah, so that one following this film was not as great as this. Nowhere near it. I would definitely say that for a fact. Which is unfortunate. But anyway, is what it is. But I did quite like the ending. It was really just hard-hitting. It had quite an emotional impact right at the end there too. Like, I thought George Lazenby's acting was definitely its peak in that little moment at the end. I was like, oh my god. I wish there was kind of more of that or something in the film, you know? But really, you know, really solid ending, I thought. Even though it's quite sad, I think it did a really great job of just finishing it off. And really hitting you with some emotion right at the end there. So, yeah, this movie, I changed my opinion a lot on it in this viewing. Probably on my first viewing, it would have been half this, or maybe 7 things or something like that. Yeah, this viewing, I found a lot to appreciate, a lot to like about the film. And it's actually up there with some of my favorites, actually. It's actually got me curious to rewatch some other ones, like The Living Daylights. I love that one. And also License to Kill, but I particularly love Living Daylights. I'll probably go through a lot of the James Bond films at some point and talk to you about probably all of them over time. I don't know if I'll do a reaction video on all of them, because I definitely like some more than others, definitely. I'll probably do the ones that I like more for a reaction video, like Skyfall. I'll definitely probably do one of that at some point. And the newest one, I think I'll do one on that at some point as well. The No Time to Die. For a moment, I had to think about that. Maybe Casino Royale. They're all the Daniel Craig ones I'm just mentioning. Living Daylights, I'll definitely do one on that. Probably will do Doctor No. I quite like the real first one quite a lot. But yeah, so at some point I'll definitely go through these films, do reviews. I'll probably review all of them, but I'll just do a reaction video on some of them, or a rewatch reaction video. So yeah, tell me your thoughts on this review. I just wanted to do a quick review because I rewatched it with my dad recently. I was like, oh my god, this is so good. So I just wanted to share my thoughts and the things I appreciated and liked about this film. So tell me your thoughts on the film. What are the things you like? Maybe some things you dislike. Put all your thoughts down in the comments below. And hey, if you've watched this video all the way up to this point, consider hitting the subscribe button and liking the video. I'd very much appreciate that. And yeah, that's it for this video. Catch you folks in the next one.